Hello everyone. It is the middle of October and we are well into what I call the golden season, which is September and October, and definitely my favorite time of year. And there have been many different makeup releases that have come out over the past couple of weeks just because people are preparing for the holiday season. And so I thought that what I would do in this video is just to talk about all of the new releases that I have found to be interesting. And some of these I have already picked up, and so I can talk a little bit about my experiences with those so far. And then some others I am thinking about picking up, and so we can talk about those as well. And so first, a little bit of information about me. I am 61 years old, and I have mature and dry and sensitive skin, and I've never had any kind of cosmetic procedures like injections or surgery or even lasers. And so I am hoping with the makeup products that I use that they can help me to look a little bit fresher and a little bit prettier, and definitely without irritating my very sensitive skin. And I do know that there are certain ingredients that always irritate my sensitive skin, and I know that those ingredients tend to be really irritating for many other people as well, and so I just don't talk about products with those ingredients in them on this channel. And there are a number of products that have been released that do have those ingredients in them, so I did put them on this list, but I won't be talking about these in this video. And one other thing that I thought that I would mention before we get started is that I do have a Facebook group, and that is called 40 Plus Beauty with Lisa Peterson. And so the goal of the group is to talk about how we can remain attractive and healthy and happy as we get older. And so if you have an interest, then I hope you will join me on Facebook. So I'm going to go in alphabetical order, and so first on the list is Anastasia Beverly Hills. They do have a new eyeshadow palette out that interests me, and this is called the Embers Mini Eyeshadow Palette. It is $32, and this looks like these are kind of beautiful and somewhat grungy fall shades. So there's warm oranges and reds and greens and golds, and so I think that in terms of those shades, those would probably be particularly good for me, and I do think those colors are gorgeous. I'm a little bit afraid that they might be too saturated for me or that they might not blend easily, but I do want to at least try that out at Sephora next time I go there. BK Beauty has a new brush set, and this is in collaboration with Nikki LaRose, and so this is volume 2 in collaboration with her, and what it says is that it elevates your routine with 8 precision tools that fill the gaps and empower you to sculpt like a pro, replace your powder puff, diffuse seamlessly, and master eye detailing. And so this came into stock and it sold out really almost immediately, like within hours. And I think that for me that this is kind of on the expensive side, but I haven't actually tried any brushes from Nikki LaRose at all. And now you can buy them individually. And so if you have tried any brushes from her and there are any that you particularly like, then let me know that, because I'd like to pick up 1 or 2 of these brushes from her previous collection just to see how they are different from the regular BK brushes. And then Byredo released a palette that is called the Bibliophilia eyeshadow palette. That one is $115, and it is limited edition. I did buy the Mineralscapes palette from last year, and I did really like that palette. I especially liked the colors that were in that palette, and I felt like it was a very nice selection of shades that I could even use as one-and-dones. And this one looks attractive too. I don't feel like the colors are quite as attractive as the Mineralscapes were, and I also feel like last year the Mineralscapes palette sold out so fast that really before I even had a chance to review it, it was pretty much almost all gone. And so that was a little bit frustrating for me that I was talking about a product that most people didn't even have the potential to buy. And $115 is pretty expensive as well. But on the other hand, it looks like the formula is the same as last year, and I did really like that formula quite a lot. And I do think that the reviews that I've seen of that palette, that people have liked it more than they were anticipating, and that I liked the way that it looked on people, even with really light skin, more than I was sort of hoping that I might be liking it. And so it does look like it's still for sale on the Byredo website, and so I would be a little bit interested in that. And it does look like it doesn't have any ingredients in it that I would consider to be really problematic. Caliray has a new loose powder, and so this is called the Magic Hour Loose Setting Powder. It is $29, and it has 8 different ingredients in it that are hyaluronic acid related, and so this should be a really hydrating powder, and it could be good, I would think, even for people with oily skin, because hydration is different than oil, but I think that also for other people it could be nice. And there are 2 shades. There's no talc in this. And so I did pick up this shade, which is called Dawn, which is slightly pink. And I actually used it today for the first time. And I think that it was quite nice. I'm not wearing any foundation today, but I just put it on to blur my skin a little bit and to make it more of a good surface to put down a powder blush that I used. And I think this is seeming to be very nice today, so I'm going to keep using it. And I think that this slightly pink color is quite lovely in terms of brightening up my skin just a little bit without it being obvious. As usual, Chanel has a bunch of holiday releases, and those have, as usual, come out in the stores first. And so I haven't seen the ingredient list for those online yet, and so I'm not sure which ones of those would be appropriate for me and which ones I would want to skip, so I am interested in that. Now, one thing that I do have from earlier in the year is this blush. And so this has a blush and a highlighter, and I actually picked up a shade that I think would go better for fall. And so this is called Soleil Couchant, and I really like this quite a lot. And so I did actually put this on my cheeks today, and I do think it's very pretty. And so I'm going to keep this out because I think this is the right time of year for me to wear this. And although I feel like this gold shade in here is a little bit on the shiny side, I feel like especially for this time of year I can even wear it as a highlighter, and I certainly can also wear this as an eyeshadow. And I think this is still available on the Chanel website or in other places. Chantecaille has released their holiday collection. So first of all, there's 2 blushes that I consider to be really, really expensive. So these are the Eclat Cristalline collection. And so there is a blush, and then there is a product that is sort of like a combination blush and a highlighter, which they are calling pearlescent. And both of these do have the same ingredient list, and I think that $105 for a blush is really on the expensive side, but these do look really gorgeous, and apparently the packaging is really, really beautiful, and it looks like it has little pebbles or raindrops or something on it, and it is silver, and I think it's metal. And so I am a little bit interested in that. I think I would like to go to Blue Mercury, and hopefully they will get in that holiday collection to actually play with it before actually springing for it. And it would be nice to be able to get a product like that on sale. If you could get 20% off, then it would be seeming like it was a lot less extravagant to me. But recently I have been liking the blushes from Chantecaille, and so I'm not uninterested in that. I just feel like $105 out of pocket is a lot of money. And then they also have some liquid eyeshadows that came out, and these are called Eye Lumiere eyeshadows. These are $45, and so they do look pretty sparkly, and there are 3 shades. Someone did mention that they kind of objected to the smell with regard to those, and so that does make me a little bit less interested. But again, that is a product that I would like to try out before I actually purchased it. And then I actually have continued to really like the lip creme from Chantecaille, and so I have this color, which is called Bamboo, that I picked up, and I'm not sure this is the ideal color, but I did get a little packet with with 3 other colors in it that I talked about in my Natasha Denona foundation review video, I think, and I do really like this particular formula, and especially after I found out that it does not have any plastics or silicone or polybutene in it. I am feeling a little bit better about this, and so I'm a little bit interested in picking up more of them. They do have a holiday shade that is called the Barberry, and I did think that one looked really gorgeous in terms of the color, but that one has been sold out on the Chantecaille website, so I'm not sure if it's going to be returning to that website or if it's going to be in any stores. But I would be interested in that shade, and there are quite a few other Chantecaille lip creme shades that I would be really interested in. And then the things from Charlotte Tilbury that I would consider, first of all, they have what is called the Hollywood Superstar Glow Kit for $32, and so that has mini versions of 2 of their shades of Light Wand. So one of these is Pinkgasm and one of these is Spotlight, and that is actually a formula of highlight, or in the case of the matte blushes, a blush that I do really, really like. The only thing about that is that I feel like if you use it for an extended period of time, that little sponge tip on it starts to feel like it gets kind of grungy, and then I'm not sure if I want to use that anymore. So the idea that they have the mini versions of these that you would not need to be using as long in order to get your money's worth from them, I think that that is an attractive thing for me, and that both of those shades would be really attractive, and that is a really nice blush formula, and it does hold up pretty well on my cheeks, and I do think it's really gorgeous, and that it provides just a little bit of shimmer. And then they have a lip mask, and this is called the Life Changing Lip Mask. It is $30, and I feel like there are too many ingredients in that lip mask that I feel would be problematic for me, and that it also has unspecified flavor, so I don't know what that would be, as well as vanillin. So I think that I personally will be skipping that one, and that I do have a lot of lip mask and lip balms that are nourishing that I think I will like a lot better than this one. And Dior has a bunch of new products, but I feel like most of those do have either aluminum powder or they have fragrance in them, and so I will be skipping all of those. They have redone their Backstage Glow Maximizer palettes. Those are $54, and I do have one of those already that I have really liked, but they redid the formula for those, and I did get a chance to take a look at all of them at Sephora. And so they have one that is Universal Glow, and I feel like the formula for that one is different. But when I tried it on at Sephora, it seemed like it was very similar, or maybe almost like undistinguishable from the old version of that. Now the other ones, there's several different ones that have different kind of color stories to them, and I did feel like all of them had at least 1 or 2 shades that were quite glittery, and it's that micro glitter that's almost like an eyeshadow topper, and so that is not a product that I would wear on my cheeks very often. I have been thinking, though, that as we get into winter, I do feel a little bit more comfortable with having something sparkly on my cheeks because I feel like it's just reflective of the ice and snow, and probably you could use those little sparkly shades as an eyeshadow topper also. These are talc-free. I don't think they ever had talc in them, though, and I don't feel like the formula is bad. I feel like the formula seems like it is usable. And earlier this year, Dior came out with the line of Backstage Rosy Glow blushes, so this was a reformulated product, and I think that the reformulated product was much better than the one in the past. I only picked up one shade. I picked up the shade that is called Toffee, and I did like that particular shade, but I haven't been really tempted to buy any more of those. And for holiday, there are 3 limited edition shades. And so these are supposed to be color changing, so they all do have red number 27 in them. And so I think that there should be a little bit of bright pink in them, but they also have a lot of other color. And so I'm not sure how much they will look pink versus looking like the other shades. But the shades are Starry Pink, in Fiery Red, and Starry Mauve. Dolce & Gabbana seems to be introducing products by leaps and bounds. They are growing really fast, and so the one thing that I did pick up recently is their Ever Icon Eye Palette, and that is $72, and I got the palette that is more brown, which is the color Amber Venus, and I did like that a whole lot. And so I'm actually thinking that the other shades of that eyeshadow palette also look beautiful. So there's one that's called Chrome Star, and that one is a cooler palette that has like silver type shades in it. And then there's one that's called Rose Goddess that has pink type shades. Then they also have 3 new products, and so I am also interested in these 3. So the Everlast Concealer, that one is $40, so I'm a little bit interested in that one. I've actually heard some good things about the Paint Me Up Multi-Play Pigment for $29. I think that that one looks like it may be worth trying, and $29 is something that I'm willing to spring for, so maybe I can pick that up at Nordstrom or something like that. And then there's a micro highlighter, and I'm not sure that that is something that I am feeling as excited about, but that one is $32. And in looking at the Ulta site, there are a number of new brands that they are stocking that I am a little bit interested in. So the first one is Doll 10. And so that is a company that I've purchased a couple of products from in the past. So in particular, they make eyeshadow palettes that I think are a little bit like the Makeup by Mario eyeshadow palettes, except that theirs are made in Italy and they are talc-free. And I think that those have been very nice. So a lot of their products are for people that really want high coverage from their makeup, maybe because they have skin issues that they really feel the need to cover up. And so those are not necessarily the kinds of products that I am drawn to. But this does seem to be a company that is made by a doctor and that does have cleaner ingredients to it. And so therefore I think that, especially now that they are at Ulta, I'm going to think about taking a closer look at the products that they are offering to see if there's anything that I do want to try out. One of my favorite lip products of all is from Eadem. So they make squeezy lip balms that I think have been really terrific in terms of being good for my lips. And they do tend to have flavors in them, but the flavors so far have been really fine for me. And I do like the way they look on my lips as well. And so I was looking at the Sephora site, and they do have 2 new versions of these. And so one of those is called Croissant au Beurre, and this is clear with shimmery gold. And then there is one that is chocolate, and this one is caramelized brown with shimmery pink. And I was about ready to order those when they did reach out to me, and they offered to send them to me for free. And so I am really excited, and so I'm looking forward to trying those out and then talking about whether or not I like these as much as I like the other flavors. Fara Homidi is a very, very expensive brand that is being sold on Sephora. And I picked up a couple of products from Fara Homidi last year. I picked up their concealer and I picked up a brush, and I really didn't like either of those products, but I still continue to take a look at what they are offering and to wonder if I should pick it up. So for the holiday season, they have what's called an Essential Lip Duet for $70. I think this is supposed to be an $82 value. And so there is a lip pencil, and then there's also a lip gloss from them. And so I might be interested in that, possibly. There are 2 different shades. The product that I'm thinking about picking up from Fara Homidi is their bronzer. And their bronzer in the lightest shade comes in a shade that I think is going to be especially appropriate, apparently, for people who do have cool skin and really pale skin. And I have heard some people say that they thought that that was their favorite bronzer, both in terms of the formula and in terms of the actual color of it. And those have been people that are both on YouTube and also just out in the real world in my Facebook group. And so I'm a little bit interested in that. It's a very expensive bronzer, but what I also found out is that this may be a product that you can use even if you don't buy the case for it. And so I think I may just buy the bronzer refill for it and give it a try that way just to see what it's like. This one does have fragrance listed on the ingredient list, but when I reached out to Fara Homidi and I asked them about that, they said that it was a natural fragrance and apparently it just smells a little bit like vanillin. So that would not necessarily be objectionable to me, especially in a bronzer. And so I am interested in giving that a try, but right now it is out of stock on Sephora and on the Fara Homidi website. But when it comes back in, I'm going to try to give that one a try. And then Glossier has a couple of new products that I have liked. So the first one is a powder blush. So this is called the Cloud Paint Plush Blush, and it is $26. And so the shade that I picked up is Gale, which is kind of a pinky beige color that I think is muted but really kind of pretty on my skin. And so I have really liked this. This is a formula that is sort of halfway between a cream and a powder. And so you can put it on with either your fingers or a brush, and so I will demonstrate this at some point soon. And there are 10 different shades. A lot of them do look really bright, but I did think that this one was very nice, and there are a few others that I have also liked. And then I also have liked their new lip glosses, and so these are called Lip Glaze. And so I have a couple of different shades of these that I picked up, and these are actually quite nice. I don't think they have any peptides in them, and so I'm not sure if they would be good for my lips in terms of making them more plump and more healthy. But in terms of the shades and how they taste to me, they don't have any flavor in them, and I think that they do taste quite good to me, and the colors are really pretty, and I do think that they look really pretty on my lips. And then for the holidays, they have two different sets. And so the first one is the Mini Ultra Lip Trio for $28. And so that has 3 different shades in it. And 2 of them are shades that I do really, really like and have used often. And so the first one is Pony, which is called a Shimmery Rosy Taupe. So it's a little bit brown, but it does have a little bit of redishness in it. And I have found that one to be really appealing. And then there's one that is Villa, and that one is Shimmery Dusty Rose. So both of those colors in the regular formula are mattes, but they add a little bit of shimmer to them. And then the third one is called Trophy, which is described as a clear gold shimmer lip topper. So it's the same formula, I think, but it is clear with just some gold in it. And it has a collectible box. And so I do think that those are really pretty, and that it would be fun to have all 3 of those shades in the mini and sparkly versions for the holidays. And then finally, with regard to their regular cloud paints, which is like a liquid blush, they have a mini cloud paint trio for $26. And the colors in that are Afterglow, which is berry with champagne shimmer, Glisten, which is terracotta with gold shimmer, and Crimson, which they describe as a mid-tone mauve. I don't quite understand how that can be crimson then. And there's a collectible box. And I do really like the cloud paints also. And so I think that all of those are new shades that are not in their regular line. And then also on Ulta, there are a couple of other brands that I might be interested in trying out. So the first one is called Haley's Beauty. And so for this particular brand, I see brushes, loose powder, lipstick, liner, setting spray, primer, cleansing oil, and an eyelash curler. And I think that some of those do have ingredient lists that I think would probably be okay. And then another brand that is now at Ulta is called Half Magic, and I think I actually did see some of these products in my local Ulta store. And so this particular line is associated with the television series that is called Euphoria, and the makeup artist who created this line and who is the main makeup artist for that TV show is Donnie Davy. And so it does look like a lot of these products may be on the sparkly side, or maybe a little bit more on the flamboyant side than what I'm really looking for. But it also does seem to be a clean beauty line. And so I would be a little bit interested in hearing from people who have tried things that they have liked, or in going through all the things that they are offering to see if there might be things that would be appropriate for me to be wearing. And then Hourglass, of course, every year they come out with holiday palettes that are in beautiful tin-type containers. And I had thought at the beginning of this year that I had purchased enough Hourglass palettes in the past, and that I wasn't really excited about any of those, and probably I didn't need to buy any more. But then I did go to Ulta, and I tried putting on the lightest palette just with my fingers, and I actually liked the way that I looked in that. And I thought that all of the colors, even the bronzer, were kind of attractive for me. So I actually did pick this one up, and I did get it on a sale already, and so I was happy about that. But I do think that these colors are quite attractive, and so I will demonstrate this on my fair skin fairly soon. But in general, I was a little bit surprised to be a little excited about this palette. And the design on it is one that I didn't think was all that appealing when I saw it in pictures, but I actually do think in person that this is actually quite lovely too. And so I am hoping that I will actually like this palette enough to get a lot of use out of it. But it does have two different shades of regular powder, and then it has a bronzer and a highlighter that I think is nice and muted enough for me. And then these two colors of blush I thought worked a lot better than I thought. And I just really kind of liked the way that I looked in this palette in a way that I really haven't liked the way that I've looked in the other Hourglass palettes that I have tried. And so I thought it was worthwhile to pick it up. And I have been pursuing brown mascaras, and so Hourglass did introduce this unlocked mascara in the shade of brown, and so I picked this up. And this is a nice mascara in terms of how it performs. I think that it looked nice on my eyes, but I do feel like this is slightly irritating, and so that is good for me to know. I'm not saying it would be irritating for everyone, but this one is definitely one that I am a little disinclined to wear just because it does irritate my eyes a bit. And then also when I was at Sephora the other day, I looked at the Curator eyeshadow palettes. And so those are very small, and they are in a little tin container that is very light, but that I find to be actually really appealing. I would much rather have a container that is made out of tin than I would something that is made out of plastic. And so I did try all of those different palettes, both swatched on my hand, and then I put some of them on my eyes. And what I concluded is that I really don't think I like the Hourglass matte formula very much. I didn't really find any of those palettes that had the mattes in them to be appealing. But I do really, really like the metallics. And I actually have a couple of eyeshadows that I bought individually and then put in a little Hourglass container that are from the Curator eyeshadow individual line. And I actually really, really like both of those. And there is one palette that is from this Curator line that is called the Expressionist one that does have 4 different shades of metallics in it. And I feel like that one is really gorgeous. It's very muted, but I think it's really beautiful, and I really like the way that that formula blends, just as I like the previous similar formulas of the metallics from Hourglass. And so I am tempted to pick up that one palette, but other than that, all of the other ones have at least a couple of shades with the matte in them, and I don't feel like I'm really interested in those at all. Last year, Huda Beauty released a foundation that I actually kind of liked and that was fairly reasonably priced. And so this is called the Easy Blur Foundation, and it is $37. And this year they came out with 8 new shades, and so if you have been interested in that in the past, but you haven't been able to find a good shade for you, then you might take another look. In my last video on new makeup products, I did talk about all of the Hung Van Go products, and I looked at the ingredient lists for all of those, and I think that by and large the ingredient lists look like they're probably going to be acceptable for me in terms of my ability to tolerate them, but I did feel like a lot of them looked like they were really bright colors, and that made me kind of nervous. Now, since then, I have seen a whole bunch of videos on this particular line because they did send out really good PR packages to a lot of people, and I do feel like this is working pretty well even for people with lighter skin tones. And so I have been hearing some good things about these, and so I probably will pick up a bunch of the products during this Sephora sale and then give them a try for myself. And then Ilia, earlier this year, they created these soft focus blurring blushes. And so I picked up this one, which is in a shade that is called Glimpse, which is kind of a taupey, slightly pink color that I think has been really, really attractive. So I've been very happy about this particular product. And they do make a bunch of other shades, and I wouldn't mind picking up another one of these shades. And then in addition, in this same exact formula, they have their Ethereal Baked Face Palette for $59. And so this one comes in 3 different versions for light, medium, and dark skin. And then each of these palettes has 4 different shades in them. And so 2 of these are shades that are blush, but they do seem to be different shades than are in the individual blushes. And then there is 1 highlighter, and the highlighter is kind of muted. And then there's 1 shade that is a bronzer. And so I did try that one out. This seems to be exactly to my recollection as the kit that they made available last year, and it is actually really kind of an attractive palette, and it's very streamlined, and I feel like it's one that I could use pretty easily. The reason that I didn't pick it up last year was because I wasn't crazy about the bronzer shade in the light version. So the bronzer shade is called Lagoon, and it is called Light Bronze, but I don't really feel like it gets along with my skin that well as a bronzer. And then the other colors are Conch, which is a soft rose blush, Swell, which is a baby pink blush, and then there is Akoya, which is a champagne pearl. And I think the highlighter is not too bright and not too shimmery, and I do think that both of those blush shades were really appealing for me in terms of my light skin. I am kind of skeptical about this bronzer, but maybe what I could just do is use this as a full face palette and just use that as an eyeshadow. That might actually work nicely. And then last year they released a lip pencil that is called the Lip Sketch. And so I do have a few different shades of these, and I think that these are fairly nice. I do think I like the Pat McGrath lip pencils a bit more, but I do think that these are quite nice. These do wear off if I wear them just as lipsticks, and so then I tend to feel like I have just like lipstick around the edges of my lips. And so if I wear these on my own, I'm a little bit cautious, but if I put something like a lip gloss over the top of them, I do think that they are really pretty for that, or if I use it as a lipstick base, I think that they're very nice. And so there is a holiday kit with these, and the kit is called the Mini Lip Sketch Duo, and it is $25. And so you get 2 small versions of these. One is Banquette, which is a kind of a nude pink beige type of a color. And then there is one that is Rhyme, which I think is more of a burgundy wine type of a color. And so I think that that is pretty good, especially since it does come with a pencil sharpener, and so you don't have to figure out how to sharpen it. And then I also do really like their eye stylus pencils. I think that these perform really well, that they go on nicely, that they stay on nicely, that the colors are really pretty, and that none of these shades have aluminum powder in them, and so I don't have to worry about which shades I should be using and which shades I should be avoiding. And so what they have for this holiday season is a mini eye stylus trio, and this is $36 for the 3 versions of this pencil, and I think that that could be really nice, and the colors do look pretty. And then Jane Iredale has a new liquid blush, and so this is called the Color Luxe Liquid Blush, and it is $34, and it's available in 7 different shades, and they have a try-it-on function on their website, and so I did try all 7 of the different shades in the AI program to see which one I liked the most. And I also asked the people in the Facebook group which one they thought it looked the best on me, and I ended up buying one that is called Cinnamon Girl, and this just came in the mail right before I started this video, so I haven't had a chance to play with this yet, but I do think it looks very pretty, and I think that I have been thinking about getting the liquid blush from Victoria Beckham, but that one comes in an eyedropper that looks like it is kind of messy, and it's certainly a lot more expensive than this one, and so I thought I would try this one first. Cinnamon Girl is a terracotta shade, which I think might be attractive on me, so I'm looking forward to trying that out on camera soon. And this is the 5th anniversary of Jones Road's opening back in 2020, and so they have a bunch of new products. And so first they have a group of 12 lipsticks, and most of these are neutral colors, and then there are a few products that are a little bit brighter, and so this is a replacement for their existing lip tint line, and I do really like this formula, and I have been wearing the 3 shades that I have picked up, and I do really like them, and they are $30, so they're not real expensive lipsticks, and I think that for a $30 lipstick formula that they are performing really well. They taste good to me. They hold up really well on my lips. They don't get outside the lip line. So I do think that they did a really good job with these. And then I also talked in my recent video about the Bobbi 5.0 kit. And so that one has 5 different products in them. And 3 of the products are brand new to the world. And so one of those is a highlighter. This one may have been available in some other kit, but it's not a permanent line product for Jones Road, at least not yet. And so this is called the Illuminator, and it is a cream blush, and I do like this one a lot. And then there is an eyeshadow stick that's available in this kit, and there is a lip balm that I actually like a lot. This one just tastes like peppermint, and I don't feel like it's been irritating to my lips. And the color that it's in, which is a pinky bronze color, this one has actually been really attractive. And then in addition, in that kit, it has a mini Miracle Balm in it, and it has an eye pencil in it, and both of those are in special shades. And then also I did really enjoy this new book from Bobbi Brown, which is called Still Bobbi. And so I did talk about this for a while on the video that I did recently on Jones Road. And so I do think that all of these things are fun products, and that it may be worth watching the video if you haven't done that already. And then Bobbi Brown also said that for this holiday season, they really decided to put some effort into it, more so than in the past. She said they thought that they could do better for holiday. And so they haven't released that line yet, but I am looking forward to seeing what they do put out for the holiday season. Kosas has a Mini Blushes Life Trio set for $33, and this is a product that they brought out last year, I think in a different color story, and that one sold out really, really fast last year, so hopefully they have enough inventory for this year. And the 3 colors that they have in that set, they have one that is a cool pinky mauve, which is Euphoria, which is part of their regular line. I think that's a fairly more muted blush. And then there are 2 new shades that are limited edition. So one is called Dare, which is a warm peachy rose, and one is called Spellbound, and that is a cool soft burgundy. Now, Lancome is a brand that puts fragrance in almost everything that they have, and in a lot of cases they put other kinds of ingredients in that also do irritate my skin, and so there's almost nothing from that particular brand that I am able to use. But I have had good luck with their eyeshadow palettes, and this year seems to be no exception. So this year for fall, they released this product that is called the Eadem Cafe Crush Palette for $59, and so this one does have some fall type colors in it. There are 12 shades total, and a little less than half of them are mattes, and then the rest of them are shimmers. And so that one finally did come to my local Ulta store, and so I finally did get to give it a try, and after playing with it a couple of times in the store, I did decide to pick this one up. And so I purchased this for, I think, 20% off during Ulta one-day sale. And so I have been playing with this a little bit over the past day or so since I've gotten it. And I did put this on my eyes today. And so I actually am really liking the way that it looks on my eyes. I think it is very pretty. And especially as fall goes, I think these are really pretty colors. Now, what I did notice at Ulta, I saw it on a couple of different days. And the first time that I saw it, one of the shades was cracked, and then the next time that I saw it, a couple of the other shades were also cracked. And this is in a part of the store that I don't even think people really go in very much, so I don't think that many people have used it. So I'm a little bit fearful that this is a palette that is going to have the potential for the shades to crumble pretty easily. And so I would be really hesitant to bring this one out on the road. I'm not planning to do that myself. And so I kind of think that if you can baby it a little bit and not break these shades, that a lot of them are really pretty, and I do think that they behave a little bit better than I was fearing, and that I can put these on and that they blend in pretty easily. And even though some of these shades are quite dark, that nonetheless they seem to be usable for me. So all of those things are really great. And so what we have in here, there are some neutral and warmer browns and pinks and a little bit of cranberry and a little bit of kind of a muted purple. And although I would not have anticipated this being so pretty, I do really, really like the way that these colors come together on my eyes. I think it's a very, very pretty palette. Now there's no aluminum powder in this palette, but it does include some talc in it. But I have not found this to be irritating to my eyes so far as I've been using it. But it's just been one day and I haven't even necessarily used all the shades, but I do think it's working fine for me. And then for Christmas, Lancome does have another eyeshadow palette, and this is called the Adventurous palette, and it is $70. And I'm not seeing that one yet on the Lancome website, but I do see it on the Macy's website. And so this one has what they are saying is 5 eyeshadow shades, and so 2 of those are pretty pink, and those seem to be pretty bright shades of pink. And then there's a brown shade and a greenish gold shade and what looks to me like a beige gold shade. And so I am not sure that those are good colors for me. I tend not to really like pinks or usually purples if they're very bright on my eyes. And so I don't think that I'll probably buy that one. And for Laura Mercier, the only thing that I'm seeing so far that looks interesting is the Mini Cream de la Creme Caviar Stick Collection, which is 3 of the mini caviar sticks for $34. And none of these shades do have aluminum powder in them. Lisa Eldridge has a lot of holiday items that are available at special prices, and then she also introduced a few new shades in some of her products, and all of the things that she's selling for holiday are coming with packaging that has custom-made art in it, and I think that they're very cute, actually, those little pictures that she has on the website. And so the first one is a couple of new lipstick shades in her Rouge Experience. So these are available in these lipstick containers that are all aluminum, and I think that this is really attractive. And so the 2 shades that are new are Scarlet Sequin, which is a soft tomato red with a pearl shimmer, or Dreamy Damask, which is a light cool-toned pink. And I actually think both of those look really pretty, and I would be a little bit interested in picking both of those up, or one of them up, and those are $59 each, including this lovely case. And then with the Gloss Embrace line, that is her gloss, and those are $28. And so there are 3 different shades, and so you can buy them individually or you could get them in a kit. And so the 3 shades are Chameleon Chaos, which is Burnt Orange Punch with the Duochrome Orange Pink Sparkle. That one actually does interest me. There is Peekaboo Pink, which is Bauble Cerise with Hot Pink Sparkle. That one probably might be a little bit much for me, although Lisa Eldridge is such a whiz with color that maybe I could make it work. And then Kensington Plum, which is a chocolatey plum berry with gold sparkle. That could be really pretty maybe. And then one thing that I might pick up is their holiday skincare kit. And I do really like their cleanser. I think that as makeup removers go, that one is really, really terrific, and it does do a good job of removing my makeup, and I don't need to do a second cleanse with that. And so in this holiday skincare kit, I think it's just the same price as that cleanser usually is, but then you also get a seamless skin headband to wear while you're washing your face, and I actually think that headband looks like it could be really cute. And then Lola V is a company that I do really like in terms of hair care. These do include fragrance on the ingredient list, but it is a natural fragrance, and I don't feel like it has been irritating to my skin when I've used it, and I do really like the scent actually quite a lot. And this is a brand that is associated with Jennifer Aniston. And so for holiday this year and going forward, they have 3 new products. And so these are all in what they are calling the peptide plumping line. And so it is supposed to take hair that is flat and fine and give it some more body. And so I feel like that could be something that would be helpful to me. And so what they are offering is a shampoo and then a conditioner and then a volume spray. And so they do have all 3 of those kinds of products in their original formula. And so my question is whether I like the original formula better or whether or not this particular new formula might be better for me. And so for the holiday season, or maybe permanently, they have a travel kit. And so this is $35, and it includes trial sizes of all 3 of those. Or you can buy one of them individually from Ulta for $15 each. And then the other day I was getting my oil changed, and so I went into Ulta with the dog while I was waiting, and they were actually having MAC makeup artists there. And so I did try on some new MAC products that I hadn't tried before, and so I did get a chance to see how they worked for me. And one that I was surprised that I actually liked was the new Dazzle Lips Crayon. And so this is $28, and it comes in 12 different shades, and it's a lip balm that goes on the lips, and it is a little bit more sparkly or frosty than most of the lipsticks that are out there. And so I was anticipating, because it was from MAC, that it would be something that would be so sparkly that it was totally unwearable for me. But I actually found that some of these shades are really, really nice, and that they would be good toppers for other lipsticks and to just add a little bit of sparkle to them. And that some of these shades are a little bit darker, and there are 12 different options, so there are a lot of different colors. And so I did pick up one shade in this, and the shade that I decided to pick up is called Chandelier. And so it is kind of a pinky beige type of a color. And so I do feel really enthusiastic about this one. And then there are a couple of other products from MAC that I've been liking. And then the first one is their Lip Glass Air. And so this is a lip balm that is a liquid formula, but it's not like thick and sticky like the old versions. It does still have a faint vanilla scent in it, but I do think that it's not as heavy of a scent as many of the MAC products, and I do think it feels really good on my lips, and it does have some ingredients in it that I do think are beneficial for my lips, and so I did go ahead and pick this one up. And then there's another lip product, and this is called the Lip Glazer Glossy Liners. And so these are lip liners that are more glossy, and they go on really smoothly. But I think that compared to other products on the market that I feel like are a little bit similar, like the ones from Rhode or the ones that were from Merit, I think that these stay on the lips really well. And so far I picked up 3 versions of these. I just picked up these 2 the other day, and then I have this one in a brown shade that is called Root for Me that I put on my lips today. And I think that all of these shades, there are, 8 of them total, I think that all of these shades are really gorgeous. And also in the store, I tried out the Strobe Beam Liquid Blush for $30, and there are 10 different shades. What I feel like with these particular products is that all of the shades either seem to be really frosty, or they tend to be really bright or dark, or in a lot of cases dark and bright. And so I had a hard time finding any of these that I thought would be appropriate for me. The one that seemed to work the best was called Ice Gleam, which is kind of a pinkish type shade with a lot of shimmer in it. But I kind of feel like even with that one, it was a bit patchy on my skin. So I think it is a liquid blush, and I think it probably would stay in place for a while. But I'm not sure that this product is as appropriate for me as a lot of products, even from MAC. And then there is a new product that is called Lip Erase, and it is $25 and comes in 10 different shades. And so what they say is that it has the coverage of a concealer with the moisture of a balm, and so you could use it on your lips as a base, or you could just use it on your own. I am a little bit uninterested in that, both because I'm not really interested in blocking out my lip color or redrawing my lips or anything like that. And then also because it has petrolatum as the first ingredient, and I do feel like I just do better if I avoid that particular ingredient. The other video that I'm working on right now is a video on Makeup by Mario. So he has a new foundation out, and so I have been trying this one, and I just shot some footage putting this on half of my face and putting the old Makeup by Mario foundation, which I actually do really like, on the other half of my face so that we can do a comparison. And so hopefully I can get that video out soon. And in addition to that product, there is this new version of Ethereal Eyes. So this is called Ethereal Eyes Nature. And so I did pick this one up, and I have been using that. And I do have both of the previous Ethereal Eyes palettes, and so I will be able to do a comparison with those. But this is a very pretty palette. And then also I have this new shade of an eye pencil, and so this is in the shade called Taupe. But I think that this eye pencil has been fine for me, and I have liked the way that it's looked on my eyes, and it is a good performing pencil, and it hasn't been irritating. And then there is a new brown shade of their Master Mascara, and so I have been trying this one out, and I think this mascara has been okay for me as well. And then on the website, Makeup by Mario has some lip kits, and so these include one of their lip pencils, and I do really like their lip pencils. And then they also include, I think, one of these lipsticks that are the satin lipsticks. And so this lipstick has been okay. I was a little bit worried about this one and delayed purchasing it for quite a while because it does have fragrance on the ingredient list, but I do think that the only fragrance that is in here is just a little bit of vanillin, and it's actually not as offensive to me as a lot of lipsticks that just list vanillin. And so there are 5 different versions of this lip kit, and I think that these are nice products and that a lot of people might like those lip kits. And Makeup by Mario has a line of brushes, which I have not tried except to kind of look at them in the store. And so for the holiday season this year, they have what is called an Essential Cosmetic Brush Set for 5 brushes for $79. And then last year from Makeup Forever, I purchased this little set of pencils. And so these are supposed to be appropriate for either the eyes or for the lips. I think that most people are using most of these pencils for just the lips. And so this year there is a set of pencils that is $39, and these are minis. And then I see that Makeup Forever has a new concealer. And so this is called the Makeup Forever HD Skin Full Cover for $35. It says that it is supposed to be waterproof and full coverage, and so that makes me a little disinclined to actually run out and get it because I tend not to like foundation type makeup that is waterproof because I find it too difficult to get off of my skin, but I might play with that a little bit in the store to see how it works for me. Mary Phillips is a makeup artist who now has a line of products, and there are 3 different products at Sephora. And so the first one is an underpainting palette for $64. And so I did get a chance to try that out when I went to Sephora the other day. And so this has 5 different shades in it. I think that there are 2 highlighters and 2 contours and a color corrector. And I did try out the color corrector especially, and I do feel like it was not usable by me because it emphasized the texture and wrinkles under my eyes. And so I won't be purchasing that. In any case, I'm really not that interested in contouring my face to begin with. And then in addition, there are 2 different lip products. So one is called the Lip Siggy Lipstick Balm, and this is $26. And this is a very small lipstick product that I did get a chance to take a look at Sephora and to try out on my hand. And I thought that it actually seems kind of nice, and it doesn't seem to have any kind of a scent to it. And I do kind of like the colors, and so I am a little optimistic about that. And then there also is a lip line of lip pencils that are called the Overliner lip pencils for $25. And I think that those look like they might be okay too. They're a little bit on the small side again, but I am interested in trying those out. I think especially there's one that's called Cherry Cola or something. I did like that shade a lot. And so probably I'll pick up both of those products at some point. And then Merit does have some holiday sets that are available and some other special shades. And so the first one is the Archival Lip Essentials gift set for $52. And so I did pick this one up. And so this is available in a shade that is called Archival, which is described as a cool mauve. And this was already available as a shade in their Flush Balm, and so you may be familiar with it from that. And now it is available in these 3 lip products in this kit. And so the products that are available in this kit are, first of all, a Signature Lip Lightweight Lip Blush, and so I think that is their lightweight and somewhat sheer matte formula. And then there also is a Shade Slick Sheen, so this is their lip oil. And then there is the Signature Lip Sheer Lip Liner, so this is a very sort of moisturizing lip liner that I have found disappears from my lips really fast, but it certainly is attractive looking. And then there are 2 other kits that you can either get, I think, from the Merit website or on Sephora. So the first one of those 2 is the Mini Flush Balm Trio, which is $39. And so there are 3 shades, and 2 of these are shades that are already on the market. One is Postmodern, which is a berry shade, and one is Le Bonbon, which is bright cool pink. And then the third shade is called Redux, and this is a limited edition, and this is a terracotta. And then there's also a skincare kit, so this is called the Merit Mini Great Skin Skincare Essentials for $39. And so in that kit you get mini versions of their Instant Glow Serum and their Priming Moisturizer, and I do like both of those products pretty much. And then there's also the Double Cleanser Face Wash, which is new. And that face wash does include a mild surfactant in it that I think is called cocamidopropyl hydroxysultane, and that is something that I don't think always works out well for me. I think depending on how much of that product is in products that I buy, that it can be a little bit irritating. So I'm a little bit hesitant about that, but I might pick up that kit anyway, especially if I could get it on a really good deal. And then going back to new brands at Ulta, I see that there's one that's called Monika Blunder, and so that is an older line. And the only product that I've really heard of from them is called Blunder Cover, which is a kind of a concealer. And this is a product that I took a look at the ingredient list, and I think the ingredient list looks fine. I don't think it should be irritating. And other than that, I really don't know very much about them. And then, as usual, NARS has a bunch of holiday releases, and so these are on their website, and we will probably be seeing at least some of these in stores. And so I think this year all of their holiday products are all available in this like purple colored packaging, which I think is really kind of a very pretty color, so I do like that. And the product that I found to be interesting enough to actually pick up is an eyeshadow quad. And so this is called Solaris, and it was $52, and it has 4 shades in it that don't really seem that Christmassy at all. So there is one that is sort of a matte grayish blue, there's one that's a matte taupe, and then there are 2 shimmery shades. One is kind of a taupe shimmer, and one is a pink shimmer. And I thought this was interesting enough and different enough, and it looked muted enough that I would pick it up. And I actually do really like the way it looks on my eyes. And then of the other products from NARS, they have 2 different blush palettes. So one is for lighter skin, and then one is for deeper skin or for people that like a lot of blush. And this is called the Ethereal Aura Blush Palette for $60. And so I'm a little interested in the lighter version, but what I do see here is that It has a regular blush formula. So in the past, when they have created holiday palettes, a lot of them have been in a special formula that is made in Italy, and it's more like a baked gelée, and I do kind of like that formula in terms of how it looks on my skin, whereas this one seems to be the same formula as their regular blush, and that one I think is coming from Canada, and I think that that is fine also, but I don't necessarily like that as much as the baked gelée ones. Now, speaking of NARS powder blush, they do have a number of new shades in their powder blush that do look interesting to me. Several of these do seem to be lighter shades or shades that are a bit more on the brownish side that I think would be fun to play with, and so I would be interested in picking up a couple of these different shades just to compare them to the shades that I already have. And a blush product that I have been getting a lot of use out of is the reformulation of their Multiple. And so I picked this one up in a new shade that is called Orgasm Crave, which is just very, very slightly shimmery. And I think that this Pinky Peach shade is a good choice for me. But I think several of the other shades from this line would look very nice on me as well. And so for the holidays, they have a mini multiple set for $45. And so this does include 3 different shades of this blush. And so the shades that are included are this Orgasm Crave shade, which I think is so much better than the old version of Orgasm, which is just way too shimmery for my taste these days. And then it also has Dolce Vita, which is a dusty rose, and then Fling, which is a watermelon pink. Another holiday gift set from NARS is the Dolce Vita Cheek Set, and this is $56. Dolce Vita is a dusty rose shade, and so the products that are in this are a full-size version of the Afterglow Liquid Blush, and then mini versions of the Multiple and of the talc-free powder blush. NARS also has what they are calling an Aura Illuminating Face and Body Powder for $55, so this is pressed powder. And then for the holidays, in special holiday packaging, there is a new lipstick shade, and so this is in the explicit lipsticks, which I do really, really like this formula. It does have plastic in it, but apart from that, I think this is one of my favorite lipstick formulas for when I want to actually look nice. And so the new lipstick is in a product that is called Eyeless Van Herpen in NARS Explicit Lipstick, and it's in a shade that is called Blame, which is neutral pink, and that is $40. But in addition, if you're interested in a deal on those explicit lipsticks, then you could look in their Last Chance section. And then the other thing that I see on the Last Chance section is their Afterglow Tempting Eyeshadow Palette that came out about a year ago. And that is priced down to $34.30 at their regular sale price, and you might be able to get it for less. Natasha Denona has a bunch of new things to talk about, so I did do a full video on Natasha Denona pretty recently because she came out with this new foundation that is called the High Glam Foundation, and so I did give this a try. I feel like she did a really good job in terms of the colors of this foundation, and I think that that is really impressive in terms of the shades, so if you're looking for a good shade, you may be able to get one in this line. Personally, I feel like this foundation looked very nice on my skin. It does provide quite a lot of coverage. It did wear pretty well. I just feel like it kind of stuck to my skin a little too well, and that made it difficult to get off. And then also in this video, I demonstrated this new little palette, which is called the Mini Gloom palette, and I do really, really like this palette. This is one of my favorite color stories of the year with these kind of muted, grungy types of different shades, and so I do think that I will continue to get some use from this and that I will continue to enjoy it. And then another product that Natasha Denona released recently is the Eye Sculpt Texture and Tone Eyeshadow Palettes. These are $82, and there are 2 different versions. One is supposed to be more for lighter skin, and one is more for deeper skin. And these contain almost all matte shadows in them, at least in the lighter version. I think there was only one shimmer shade. And for me, that shimmer shade would probably not be one I would use at all because I think that that one does have aluminum powder in it. Now, the thing about this palette, I think, is that most of those shades probably would be too dark for me or too dark for what I'm liking to accomplish. So I did play with this at Sephora, and what I feel like is that if I look at maybe the first two columns of the palette, that a lot of those shades might be ones that I could use as kind of a base before I put on some kind of a special shimmer shadow, or maybe just on its own for a really neutral look, but that most of the shades on that palette when we're in mattes, that those are really dark for me, and so I would not wear them. And then there is a little holiday eyeshadow duo that is called the Essential Eyeshadow Duo. It is $30, and so there are two shades. One is a matte, light, medium, nude, so that one has, I think, maybe a little bit lean toward pink. And then over the top for that, it has a sparkling wet effect icy pink. And I think that that looks really cute, and it's only $30, and so if I can get that on sale, I think that probably would be one that I would be interested in picking up. Another new brand at Ulta is OG, and so this I have seen at Blue Mercury, and so I played with some of the products in the store, and I actually did pick up their foundation stick, I believe, and so I do want to include that in a video soon. And so this does seem in general to me sort of like an old-time clean beauty brand. It seems to have mostly natural ingredients. Some of them do have essential oils and things in them that I tend to mostly avoid, but I would be interested, especially now that it's at Ulta, in looking at the ingredient lists for a lot of their different products to see if there are any that look like they are possibilities. One Size has a new pressed powder, and it doesn't have any talc in it. And so this is called the Boucle Silk Talc-Free Finishing Powder. It is $40, and I thought it looked really nice. I thought it felt really nice. It comes in 10 different shades, so that is a lot of different shades of powder. It feels to me like it is very finely milled, and that it is maybe a little bit like the new Say powder, which I also have been really liking. And then their loose powders do still have talc in them, and I do think that they perform very nicely, even though loose powders that have talc in them make me a little bit nervous because of the potential for asbestos contamination. They have a holiday set that is the Ultimate Set Blurred and Bright Loose Powder, and there are two different shades in mini containers. So one is for light skin, there's one that's pink, and then there's one that's a regular light neutral type of a color, and that is $25, so I think that that is a good deal. Another new brand at Ulta is Ortega Beauty, and so there are 6 different products. So there's a lip oil, a color stick, a lip liner, a lip gloss, a glow balm, and makeup remover wipes. And I think that it looks like the ingredients for that brand are leaning more on the clean side. Now, last year, Patrick Ta came out with a line of eyeshadow duos, and so these are sparkly shades that are mostly like topper shades, and so I picked up this one, which is 2 different shades of brown, and this is called Still at the Club, and I actually really like this. And so now they have come out with, 4 more shades of these. So I do think they were pretty popular. And so I think that the new shades look like they have some potential. And so I'm kind of thinking I might pick up another one of those to try to see if I could get a different look than just this brown color. And then in addition, Patrick Ta came out with 3 different matte eyeshadow palettes. And so these are smaller palettes, and they have 6 shades per palette. And so there's light, medium, and dark. And so when I was talking about the Natasha Denona palette that's supposed to be sculpting, I feel like this Patrick Ta palette is as close as I've been able to find in terms of a sculpting type palette that might be appropriate for me. Because the light version looks like it has just shades that might be appropriate for me to use as a base or as a really neutral and sort of not very dramatic eyeshadow look. And it is a smaller palette, and I really don't like having a bunch of big palettes around. And it's $44, which I think is a fairly reasonable price for a palette like this. And I've never used any of the Patrick Ta matte formulas before, but they do seem to get fairly good reviews. And I have been happy enough with this formula that I'm hoping that the matte formula might be okay also. And there's no talc in those. And in general, the ingredient list looks pretty good to me. And they do have some hyaluronic acid and squalane and shea butter in them. So I'm a little bit hopeful that they might be kind of a little bit creamy and easy to blend. And then another product that I tried out when I was at Sephora is the new Major Glow Cream and Powder Light Reflecting Translucent Highlighter Duo from Patrick Ta. And these are $40. And so these were released, I think, maybe like 18 months ago. And a lot of people complained about them. And so therefore they have reformulated them already. And there are 5 different versions. And so I tried on the ones that were available at Sephora, which is 4 of them. And so one of those products is a cream, and then one is a fairly glittery type of a highlighter that's more like an eyeshadow topper. And so I think that the idea is that you put the highlighter that's glittery on first, and then you're supposed to put that cream over the top of it. And so I think the cream is giving you kind of like a Jones Road Miracle Balm type of a look that's more glassy looking. And then it also is quite glittery because it has that powder highlighter in there. And I'm a little interested in that. I do feel like the shade that is most appealing to me is one that is called Sugar, which is a champagne shimmer. And that one was not available in my local Sephora or on the Sephora website or on the Patrick Ta website. So I kind of feel like I would be willing to spring for this because it doesn't have any fragrance in it, unlike a lot of Patrick Ta products. And so one product that I do really like from Polite Society is their little blush pops. And so for the holidays, they have a travel size blush trio of these. And this is $32 for 3 minis of these. And the shades are Paris, Sydney, and Malibu. And those are the 3 shades that I actually have myself in the full sizes and that I actually do really, really like. Now for RMS, one of my favorite products from them is their lip oils, and so I do have a number of different shades of these. This is the most recent one that I picked up, which is called Crystal Slipper. And then also they now have this mini lip oil trio, and so this seems to be for the holidays. It is $35, and so it includes Lily, which is a bright red, and Adriana, which is a clear and sparkly version. And then there is Chameleon, which is color changing to a bright pink. And so Rhode is now at Sephora, and so the product from them that I really like is the Pocket Blush Cream Blush, and these are $25. And I think of everything on the market that this is the closest thing that I have found to the Westman Atelier blushes, and so I do really like those Westman Atelier blushes. And so far I just have one shade of this pocket blush, but I would be interested in some more, and especially since they have introduced some new shades. From the time that they've entered Sephora, I'd be interested in some more of those. The one that I think I might be the most interested in is called Tan Line, which is described as a pinky tan, so I might pick that one up soon. And in terms of the skincare, I tried almost all of the Rhode skincare products, and most of them did irritate my skin, so that was kind of unfortunate. I think that the only one that I liked was the barrier cream, the one that was a lighter barrier cream. And so therefore I am interested in trying the new product, which is called the Barrier Butter Intensive Moisture Balm. And so that is available either in a smaller size for $22 or a larger size for $32. And so I might pick up the smaller size just to give it a try. And for Say, I did pick up one of their new powders, and I actually do like this a lot. And so this is called Slip Tint, and it is comes in 5 different shades, I think. And my feeling about this one is that I feel like it is very similar to the Pat McGrath Under Eye Setting Powder. and that it seems like it's very similar in the pan. They are both from Italy, and I feel like I'm not just interested in using this under my eyes, but that if I'm not using too much makeup and I put just a little bit of this powder down, it will take care of mild shine, and it will kind of do a little bit of blurring on my skin, and it really seems to, more than almost any other powder, really just disappear into my skin or almost dissolve into my skin and leave it looking a little bit better, but certainly very natural. And then they also are going to be having a holiday set that is a mini Dew Blush trio. And I do like their Dew Blushes quite a bit. And so the three colors are Baby, which is baby pink, Sweetie, which is neutral pink, and Spicy, which is a warm terracotta. And this is $30. And I don't have any of those shades. Maybe I will think about whether I want to pick that up. Ceracril makes this product that is called Moisture Source, which is a product that is liquid, and it has a lot of moisturizing and hydrating ingredients in it, and so this is something that I just kind of throw on my face before I put on my makeup, and you don't need to use very much of it, just a few drops, and I have used this quite often, and there's hardly any that I have used from the container. The issue with this is that it was like $95 or something crazy, so most people are not going to buy that. But fortunately now they have a mini version of this, and it is $35, and so I think if you want to try that out, the mini version is a much better idea. And I think that I use it up so slowly. I mean, I've used this dozens of times. So I think that if you do buy the mini version of it, that it still may last for quite a while, and it may be worth it. And I've found this to be very nice for my skin and to perform really well and not to be irritating at all. And then Sephora is coming out with a new foundation and a new concealer. And so the foundation is called Best Skin Ever 16-Hour Natural Finish Foundation for $22. That is available in 40 shades. And I think that the ingredient list is looking okay. That doesn't mean it wouldn't be irritating to me. And I do think that most of the Sephora Collection products are made in China. And so I'm not saying that this would be good for people with sensitive skin or that it would be good for me. But I do think that Sephora Collection is trying to offer products that are a little bit less expensive, that this is LVMH's way of trying to serve people that don't have a lot of money to spend on makeup. And then there's also a concealer for $16, which is the Best Skin Ever concealer, and there are 30 shades in that concealer. And the Sephora Collection also has a new powder that seems to me like it might be quite similar to the powder that is new from Caliray. So this one has 4 kinds of hyaluronic acid rather than 8, but I still think that the purpose of this is pretty much the same and that it might actually perform fairly similarly to that Caliray product. And again, it is supposed to be lightly tinted pink, and so I would be interested in playing with this in the store to see if I do like it. Still, another brand that is newly available at Ulta is Sigma. And so Sigma is a brand that last year I picked up their skin tint, and I thought that it was okay. I didn't have a problem with it. It wasn't my favorite skin tint, but it was okay. Sigma seems to be more known, though, for eyeshadows and brushes. And they did send me a free brush, and I thought it was okay. And so I am a little bit interested in that brand. Now, Sisley is a high-end brand of makeup that I have never tried anything from. Some of their things do have fragrance or other ingredients in them that are problematic. And so this is called the Phyto Eye Palette, and it is $125, which I guess still seems like a discount price compared to the Louis Vuitton prices. And so the shade that I picked up is Tender Toffee, which is brown shades, and then there's also one that's called Bois de Rose, which is like pink shades. And so it comes in a box that looks like this, and then it has a little sleeve for it, and so it has this zebra stripe type packaging on it, and you can see what the shades look like. And I actually haven't tried this yet, but I do want to do a video where I try it out on camera, and so we can see what we think. and I looked at the ingredients, and the ingredients look like they should be perfectly fine for me. A lot of Tom Ford's lip products have a fragrance in them, but what I see is that there are some new shades in their Gloss Luxe Lip with Hydrating Jojoba Oil for $62, and I didn't realize it, but that one does not seem to have any flavor in it, and I feel like the ingredients are okay. And so there are 4 new shades. Now they are $62, and it's really hard for me to justify spending $62 for a lip product unless I'm pretty sure that it is going to be really, really terrific. But at least that is a product that might be something for me to consider trying. And I have liked most of the Tom Ford products that I've tried, actually. Tower 28 has these new little eyeshadow sticks. These are really little. And someone described this as kids' makeup, and maybe it is, but I picked this one up, and I think it's been okay for me. I have only really used it once, I think, so I want to experiment with this a little bit more. But it is $20, and so that's a lot less expensive than many eyeshadow sticks that are on the market, and there are 8 different shades. And then there are several different sets. So the first one is mini little softies, lip softies for $20, and there are 4 different versions in that. And these all have flavor, and they're supposed to be food grade flavors, but whether or not they're all natural, I don't know. And I think that the ones that I've tried have been okay, but not my favorites. Now, Urban Decay is not a line that I tend to turn to very much, but they do have a couple of eyeshadow palettes that look like they might be possibilities for me. So they are called the Naked Shaped Make Up Palette for Eyes and Face that are $56. And there is one that is supposed to be warm toned, and there is one that is supposed to be cool toned. And it says that it is a multitasking palette with 14 multi-use shades that can be used as eyeshadow, contour, brow color, eyeliner, or highlighter to streamline your makeup routine and provide full face shape shifting. And this does not have any aluminum powder or talc in it, and so I would be interested in taking a look at this at Sephora if they have it there. And it says that it has ultra blendable creams, buttery mattes, light reflecting shimmers, and highlighting glimmers. So that sounds kind of ambitious for Urban Decay, and so I will try to take a look at that. And then in addition, there is a Moondust Quad Glitter Eyeshadow Palette. They've had these for the past couple of years, and I think I picked up one the year before last, and it's a cute little palette, and it has those topper shades in it that I think are kind of fun. So this year it is $39, and the shades are described as white, silver shimmer, ivory red shimmer, lilac haze with silver pearls, and magenta lilac shimmer. And even though those are colors that make me a little bit skeptical, my feeling with regard to those Moondust palettes is that they do tend to be a little bit more wearable than one might think based on just looking at them. And so I would like to take a look at that. And again, that does not have any aluminum powder in it, but this one does have some talc. And then also with regard to eyeshadows, earlier this year, Victoria Beckham came out with the line of what they called eye wardrobe. And so I did pick up this one, which is a green type of a shade. And I did really like this one quite a bit. It was a little bit dark for me, but I was able to pull it off pretty easily. And the other ones all look like they would probably be too dark for me. And so I didn't pick those up. But they do have a new product, which is called the Cocoa Eye Wardrobe, and that one does look like it has shades in it that might work for me. So it is still available in what they are calling the Cocoa Collection Holiday Set, or at least it was last time I checked. And that one is actually $159, so it's much more expensive than just getting the eyeshadow by itself. And so what you get in that kit, in addition to the eye wardrobe, is a cocoa eyeliner, which is a shade that I already have. And then there is a shade that is called Cocoa Pave Satin Kajal Jewel Liner. And so that is a little bit of a sparkly eyeliner, and it seems like it's sort of a light brown color. And then there's also a cocoa color in their tubing mascara. And the issue for me is that I did find their cocoa eyeliner to be a little bit irritating, and I also found their tubing mascara to be a little bit irritating. And then other new products from Victoria Beckham, there is a line of what's called Color Wash, which is a liquid blush. And this comes in a container that has an eyedropper in it. And it looks like it's a little bit on the messy side to me. And it also is staining. And so I feel like, for instance, if I drip it on the back of my hand and then I put it on with a brush, it's going to stain my hand. And then I'll have to do a special wash to get it off. But I have heard some good things about it, and then I've heard some people that were a little bit annoyed with it, and so I'm not opposed to the idea of picking that up, and so maybe I will do that if I can get it on sale, and it is available in 3 different shades. And then a week or two ago, I did a full video on their foundation drops, and these are made in collaboration with Augustina Spotter, and so they have some of the Augustina Spotter proprietary peptide in them that I am enthusiastic about, and I did like those foundation drops a lot, and I do feel like if especially for the winter when my skin is kind of dehydrated, I think that this could be a really good foundation for me, and that I do feel like I need to put a setting spray on the top of it along with some good powder, but that if I do that, and if I use, for instance, the Makeup by Mario setting spray that I like a lot, I do think that it performs perfectly fine for me and that it could be an enjoyable product to wear over the winter. And then Westman Atelier has a few different kits available for the holiday season. So the one that I picked up right away is the Mini Baby Cheeks Lip and Cheek Cream Blush Stick Trio for $60. And so I seem to be in the habit of picking up all of these blush shades, and so I went ahead and got this one. So this one does have 2 existing blush shades that are among my favorites, so I don't mind having a little backup in these. And the ones that are the existing ones are Chouchou, which is a nude peach, and Petal, which is a dusty nude rose. And then there's one that is the special for this particular year. This is called Jam, and it is a vibrant berry flush. And then, in addition, there's a couple of other kits, but both of those do have their lipsticks in them. And I am not a fan of the lipsticks. I don't like the way that they go on. They are quite dry. And they also have some kind of an ethyl vanillin type of a flavor to them that I found to be particularly offensive, much more so than a lot of the vanillin products that I have used. And some people don't even notice that there's an issue with this, so I think it must be dependent on what your genetics are, maybe. But in any case, there is a set of 3 petite lipsticks for $60, and then there is a Petal edition, and this has 1, 2, 3, 4 different products that are in that same shade of Petal. So there's a blush, a highlight, a lipstick, and a lip pencil, and that is $75. And the other thing from Westman Atelier that I seem to be collecting are their highlighter sticks. So these are called the Lit Up Highlight Sticks. And so now there are a bunch of different shades, some of which they have just introduced this year. And so the ones that I have are Garçon, which is a dark mauve, and that one is brand new. And Oyster Pearl, which is a cool sparkling, and that one was re-released, I think, this year. And then there's Petal, which is a nude rose, which again was a little bit earlier this year. And then the original one, which is Lit, which is nude rose, Nectar, which is golden peach, Brulee, which is bronze gold, which I tend to use a lot in the summer, and then Biscuit, which is a cool beige coffee. And then at one point there was one that was called Toast that was in a special kit, and so I have that one also. And I really like these highlighter sticks because I feel like they are sort of a substitute for me for the Jones Road Miracle Balm. So I would kind of like to be able to use the Jones Road Miracle Balm, but that does have an awfully lot of essential oils in it, and so it does really irritate my skin, especially if I'm not using it over a foundation, which is how I would really prefer to use this kind of product. But I do feel like, especially now that Westman Atelier has all of these different versions of their lit up sticks, that they kind of do the same thing for my face. They provide kind of a glassy finish that is moisturizing and pretty and youthful. And then YSL has introduced a few new products, and so the newest one seems to be the Golden Oasis Face Palette, which is $85. And I actually did see that in my local Sephora, and so I got a chance to take a look at it. And so this palette includes 3 different powder blushes as well as 3 different powder highlighters. And so the colors that are in this in terms of the blush are the Nude Lavalier, which is this color that I already have and that I do like quite a lot. I feel like a lot of those blushes are really bright and too bright for me, but this one has actually been very nice. I've liked it a lot. And then there is one that is called Restless Rose, which I have tried out at Sephora. And there's one that's called Berry Bang, which it seems to be a really, really bright and quite cool pink. And then in terms of the highlighters, there is Hypnotic Honey, which is a regular honey gold that is in their regular line that I have seen at Sephora. And there is a rose gold shade and a bronze shade. And I think that I'm not going to really thinking that I'm going to spring for this. First of all, it is kind of big and clunky. And second of all, I am not all that crazy about their highlighter formula. So I did play with all of those highlighters at Sephora. And I didn't feel really very excited about how they looked on my skin. And I'm not that enthusiastic about the Berry Bang shade. And I already have this Nude Lavalier shade. And the Restless Rose shade is kind of pretty. But I don't know that I need to get it in this kit. If I wanted that one, I think I'd just buy it. Now, in terms of these blushes, they do have 2 new shades. And so the 2 new shades are Hot Mauve, which is a warm rosy taupe matte. And then there's one that is Chili Crush, which is described as a sun-kissed red matte. And even though sometimes I do wear red blush, that particular blush looks very, very bright to me. And in the pictures, they are only showing it on people with dark skin tones. So I'm definitely afraid of that one. But I would be interested in the Hot Mauve. And I do like this formula quite a bit. It is a talc blush, but I don't feel like I'm getting any particular amount of kick up that I am breathing in. So I'm not worried about it so much as I might be a talc product that's in powder form. And then third, over the past couple of months, YSL has released 4 new eyeshadow quads. I did pick up 2 of them on sale for like 25% off during a YSL sale. And so the ones that I picked up that I actually haven't used yet are, first of all, this one's called Captivating Dunes, I think. And so these shades are quite what they call cool. So they're kind of a combination between gray and brown. And I do think they look really pretty. And then the other one that I picked up is a shade that is called Sunrise Safari, and I think that these shades look like they could be really gorgeous on me. I'm not sure that everyone likes them, but I think that these peach color eyeshadows I do quite well with on my particular coloring. And then there's one that is called Golden Lust, and I saw a YouTuber named Christy Healy, who is from Canada, talk about that on her YouTube channel and to demonstrate it. And so this one is really very, very subtle browns and sort of goldy brown type colors. And I think that a lot of people may feel like that is much too neutral, but I thought that it looked really gorgeous on her. And I think that that is a palette that I could probably wear really easily, sort of like every day, and just kind of throw it on really fast. And it just has a little bit of specialness to it that I find to be really appealing. And so I feel like if I can get my hands on that one, I might be especially interested in it. So thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of the video. And if there are any products that I've talked about in this video or other products that are new releases that you are especially interested in seeing me try or that you have tried and that you would like to recommend, then please let me know about that in the comments section. In addition, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then I hope you will go ahead and do that. And if you like this video, then I hope you will hit like because supposedly that helps the algorithm. And I do hope to see you in my Facebook group as well. And Coco and I do love you very much, and so thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.
la 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 boom boom.